Hello everyone. Today we will have 3 interesting stories. Before we get to that, I want to ask you to subscribe, like, and be sure to write comments in order to participate in the development of the community. Write how to improve my community, current topics in the stories you are interested in, and much more. I read and listen to all the comments. People write me stories by mail from different countries. There are problems with translation. I apologize for this. I will work on it and try to fix these errors. I want to thank everyone for their support and the people who wrote to me by mail. Broadcast news stories. New videos on my channel are published every 2 days at 7 p.m. Don't forget to put a bell in order not to miss new videos. And now let's go. Hello, I want to tell you my story. I suspected my wife of cheating, or to be more precise, of systematic infidelity. At some point, she became very cold to me. She often stayed late at work, despite the fact that we have a child who is 2 years old. My wife also set a password on her mobile phone. In the 3 years of our marriage, she never set a password on her mobile phone, because I trusted her completely and never looked at her mobile phone. The culmination of paranoia was a lot of messages at 2 in the morning that I couldn't read. I decided to act standardly. To get off work early on the day my wife disappeared last night. I'll be back later today, my dear. Don't miss me. I told her this morning before I left. Okay, darling, take your time, she replied. Take your time, she replied. I didn't really like her answer. I discussed this situation with my work colleague. He agreed to take over for me the moment I left for home. Boss had to lie about a sick dog. In general, I don't remember what I said to him, but it doesn't matter. I was driving home 3 hours earlier than usual. Taking into account the traffic jams, I arrived home in 2 hours. I went into the entrance by elevator, went up to the floor I needed, and opened the door with my key. I immediately saw someone else's men's shoes on my doorstep and a jacket on a hanger. I had a view of my kitchen from the hallway. There was a bottle of wine on the kitchen table, 2 glasses and a half, and a set of fish rolls. The door to my bedroom was closed. I threw the man out of my apartment first. He flew at my apartment in his underpants with a bruised face. My wife flew after him. It's good that my son was in kindergarten at that moment. 2 minutes later, my wife started calling me. My beloved, I'm sorry, she said. I'm stupid and I'm one of new sensations. But you're always at work and I'm sitting at home with the baby and I'm very bored. In general, she begged for my forgiveness. I told her that you would pick up your things later and we divorced. I couldn't leave my child with this girl. Therefore, I decided to take the child away from my wife through the courts. I managed to win the trial. I bought the apartment we lived in before our marriage. This means that by law, I don't owe her anything. Since my wife did not have her own apartment, this became a very important factor in the course of the trial. In addition, I connected my classmate who worked as a lawyer to the case, and he knew his business very well. After the sentencing, my wife was heartbroken. She didn't have an apartment or a child left. I allowed my wife to see my son once a week on weekends, because we don't need traitors in the family. By the way, my wife's lover left her a week after I caught them together. My wife is still trying to repair our relationship, but I'm relentless. I decided that I would raise our child on my own. My son will grow up and I will tell him the truth and he will draw conclusions. At the moment, we live with our son and our very happy family despite what happened. Friends, be very careful in choosing your soulmate and trust your intuition. This is the end of the first story. There will be one more short story before the author expresses his opinion. Let's go. The husband began to suspect his wife of infidelity. When he got enough evidence, he planned an original revenge that his wife will never forget. Just like her whole family. I had a feeling that my wife was cheating on me. She was constantly smiling and laughing when she corresponded with someone. Even though my wife said it was her mother, she stayed late at work. Although when I asked her colleagues, they said that my wife had left a long time ago. When I asked my wife what was going on, she replied to me that they were joking about each other at work. The last straw was when my wife went to get milk at 12 a.m. and came back only 2 hours later. From the height of my experience, I can now advise anyone who suspects their partner of cheating to hire a private investigator. They're damn good at their job and they can get you proof. This evidence will later help you with the divorce. Now we're going back in time to my wife's birthday a few months later. Perhaps you're thinking, why did I wait so long? Firstly, I collected enough evidence for lawyer. Secondly, I was looking for a new place to live and so on. Besides, it's supposed to happen on her birthday. When I asked what my wife wants this year, she insisted that I go out of town with my friends. She was working that day anyway, according to her, and she didn't want to be reminded that she was getting old. I immediately realized that my wife was going to meet guests at our house today. Later, I also found a hidden bottle of champagne and 2 glasses, so I did what any of us would have done. I left, pretending that I was actually going out of town with my friends. But I actually called her mother, father, and a few friends. I said I wanted to give my wife a big surprise. It was necessary to sneak into her room with festive pipes and a cake. Sounds cool, right? In fact, that's exactly what happened. At 8:30 in the morning, her family and I met outside our house. We took the elevator as a group of 8 people. I asked everyone to keep quiet. I quietly opened the apartment and we all quietly approached our bedroom. Everyone has festive pipes in their mouths and her mother is holding a cake with a smile on her face. I opened the door and we all screamed surprise. But there was a surprise for us. My wife was standing in the dog post. My wife and her lover stared at us with bulging eyes. The cake fell from the mother's hands to the floor and her sister screamed violently. My wife's father began to scream violently and arrange proceedings. I pretended to be in a state of shock. Her friends were pushing everyone out of the room. My ex-wife is crying and screaming at me. She was screaming, "How could you do this to me?" At that moment, her lover was quickly putting on his pants to escape from our apartment. I don't think it's worth saying that it was the best birthday present I've ever made. As a result, my wife blamed everyone except herself. She blamed her parents for coming without warning. She blamed her sister and said she was a bitch. Her friends for not warning her about such a surprise. She threw everything she could get her hands on at me and just called me bad names. I loved this girl for 2 years and she screamed at me because I ruined their relationship with her lover. In general, we divorced and my wife ended up in a psychiatric hospital from severe stress. Now I live alone and carefully approach the choice of the other half, and I advise you the same. This is the end of the second story, but today there will be a third short story, so let's go. My friend Thomas is a very good man, but the trouble is that he doesn't really like girls and doesn't want to have his own family. This upsets him very much, and all the time he worries that he may not have time to find his soulmate. Thomas turned 40 this year and decided that he needed to move forward, live high and enjoy life. One day he came to visit me for a beer and watch football. After another round of beer, we started our conversation. Thomas began his story from afar with the fact that he has a girlfriend. He really likes her outwardly, but at this stage of their relationship, he does not have the opportunity to marry her and start a life together. It was clear to me, and I said that I supported his desire to be a free man and live the way he wants. And then, Thomas couldn't be stopped. He started telling me what his ideal partner should be. I began to recognize my wife from Thomas's description, but I didn't pay much attention to it, so we finished our conversation and went to bed. I put Thomas on the couch in the other room. In the morning, I found him in bed with his wife. I made it a very big scandal. I couldn't stand it and beat Thomas up, and I slapped my wife in the face. Afraid that I might kill them, I quickly left my house. For 3 days, I drank a lot of alcohol and tried to recover. Suddenly, at some point, I felt better. I realized that my life doesn't end there. My wife couldn't reach me for a very long time. She wanted to talk to me. I decided to meet with her and see what she would tell me. She apologized and promised me that it wouldn't happen again. I talked to her and asked her to control herself because she didn't understand the gravity of the situation. I pretended to forgive my wife, and I began to come up with a decent punishment for her. The solution was found quickly. With the help of good lawyers, I transferred my wife's share to myself. After that, I transferred all our savings into cryptocurrency. In general, all the preparation went according to plan. A week later, I kicked my wife out of the house. She returned to her parents. We got divorced and she was left with nothing. I live alone and enjoy life. Friends, remember, your life does not end with betrayal. In fact, it is just beginning. If you like this collection of stories, give a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so as not to miss new videos. Now let's move on to the opinion of the author of the channel. The opinion of the author of the channel. According to tradition, I want to wish strength and patience to our heroes. After listening to all three stories, I can't say that these guys made any mistake. They saw the betrayal during, and some even took revenge in a very funny way. One of the guys said a good phrase: when your wife cheats on you, life does not end, but on the contrary, it is just beginning. I agree with this 100%. I want you to remember this phrase, friends. But the guy who threw the birthday surprise was tough, which even made me smile. In general, friends, look for a worthy soulmate because betrayal will always be punished. If you have watched to the end, I want to say thank you very much. I love you all. Thank you for joining me on this exciting journey of love, betrayal, and redemption. I appreciate your support and encourage you to subscribe, like, and share this story. Your participation and feedback are invaluable for shaping our content and promoting mutual understanding and community growth. Until we meet again.